I, 21, male, visited the local game shop yesterday to sell my Magic, the Gathering card. As I finished discussing the sale with the owner, an entitled mother, EM, approached the counter with her young son. EM, you should give that card to my son. You're too old to play with cards. Me, ma'am, if you had approached me earlier, I would have considered trading or selling the card to him. However, I've already made a deal with this store. EM, no. As an adult, you should just give the card to my son. I glanced at her young son and noticed that the card I was selling was a foil Olivia, Crimson Bride, showcase card. It's worth mentioning that this particular card features a significant amount of cleavage which may not be suitable for a child. Nee, how old is your son, ma'am? EM, he's 10. And how old are you? Nee, I'm 21. Moreover, I don't believe this card is appropriate for his age. To emphasize my point, I showed her the card. EM, no, it's fine. Just give it to him. Nay, as I mentioned earlier, I can't do that because I've already committed to selling this card to the shop. At that moment, the store owner intervened. Owner, ma'am, if you want this card, you can purchase it from us. EM, no. If my son can't have this card, then nobody can. Without warning, she snatched the card from my hand, resulting in a dreadful sound. Rip! I stared at the woman, shocked, as I observed the torn card in her hands. Fueled by anger, I began admonishing her with a barrage of curse words. Meanwhile, the store owner promptly called the police, and they arrived at the scene 5 minutes later. The first thing the officers did was separate me and EM, allowing each of us to provide our statements. Meanwhile, the store owner retrieved the security footage of the incident. After the police concluded their discussion with me and the owner, they proceeded to talk to EM. Once they finished, they escorted her out of the store, and one of the officers approached me and the owner. The officer informed us that the woman would be escorted off the premises, and if the owner wished, they could issue a trespass order banning her from the store. The owner expressed his desire to do so, mentioning that the woman had caused issues in the past. The officer also revealed that EM had received a ticket for destruction of private property and disturbing the peace. In response, the store owner informed me that he would pursue legal action against her. He even handed me the money for my card, stating that he would use it as part of the compensation he aimed to seek from her, either through legal means or insurance. He explained that he intended to sue her for harassment, considering her past behavior, the value of the destroyed card, and any legal fees required for the court proceeding. I was employed by Medium, a medium-sized video game company, which was wholly owned by Jumbo, a massive software company with various business ventures. Our primary responsibility at Medium was to develop highly successful games, while Jumbo's role was to publish them. The relationship between the two companies allowed Medium to operate autonomously, with Jumbo having limited direct control over our personnel, but the ability to offer or deny perks. In the fall of 2006, I held the position of lead designer for a highly anticipated game expansion. One day, my producer approached me with an unexpected proposition. Jumbo just realized that we're expected to attend a major game festival in Barcelona, Spain. Initially, they hadn't planned to send anyone from Medium, but they want us to showcase your new game expansion. However, everyone here is swamped with work and doesn't want to go. Knowing they can't force us, they've made an intriguing offer. If you agree to go, they're willing to cover either a first-class flight for you or allow you to bring your wife along. It was an easy decision for me. My wife was fluent in Spanish and undoubtedly would relish the chance to visit Barcelona. First class seemed excessive compared to sharing this experience with her. So, without hesitation, I replied, "Bring my wife, and I'm on board." I eagerly shared the news with my wife, and she was thrilled about the upcoming trip. However, just 3 days before our departure, my producer approached me with a disappointing update. "I'm sorry, Sandy, but the bean counters have decided that it's too costly for your wife to join us. They have reneged on the offer." It was disheartening to realize that they had backstabbed me to save a mere $1,000. I couldn't help feeling frustrated by their sudden change of heart. Yet, I didn't direct my anger at the messenger. Instead, I calmly responded, no problem. Let them know that as a result, I won't be going either. They can save even more money now. With that, I returned to my work, determined not to let this setback affect me. My producer, a genuinely decent person, smiled in understanding. As it turned out, the situation was caused by a jumbo bean counter who, acting on their own accord, assumed that a trip to Barcelona alone was enticing enough without any additional perks. My producer informed me that the bean counter was utterly astounded when I declined the offer. Word about Jumbo's mishandling of the situation spread among my team. When they were approached about attending the festival in my place, every single member of my team declined the opportunity. Their loyalty and support were unexpected, as I had not asked them to do so. A day later, my producer returned with news that surprised me. Jumbo has reconsidered and agreed to cover the expenses for your wife. Since they had to make a last-minute booking, it cost them an extra $4,000 for the tickets. I found some satisfaction in knowing that their attempt to save $1,000 ended up costing them an additional $3,000, a fact that surely displeased their accounting department. If you're wondering why I wasn't overly excited about going to Barcelona by myself, it's because I knew what the trip would entail and my expectations were met. Each day, from morning till night, I found myself confined in a spacious, windowless room, surrounded by computers and fellow tech enthusiasts, showcasing my game. I had little opportunity to explore Barcelona as the event was primarily a convention, not a vacation. It seemed that Jumbo's bee encounter had never experienced a convention before and mistakenly believed it would be a series of all-day parties instead of technology demonstrations, meetings with potential buyers, and tedious setup and tear-down processes. At the end of each day, all I could do was collapse into bed, exhausted. However, despite the less-than-ideal circumstances, there was a silver lining. My wife had the freedom to gallivant around Barcelona, soaking up its beauty and culture every day. She had an amazing time, while we managed to come together for dinner most evenings, indulging in tapas, squid ink paella, and other delectable delights. In that regard, the trip was undoubtedly a success. I worked as a shift manager for Pizza Hut in a small town, overseeing a declining store. Our store had a policy called Give It Away, where we were required to provide customers with anything they wanted for free if something went wrong with their order. These were strict orders from the owner. Meanwhile, I was also in the running for the store assistant position and undergoing training for it. This involved learning various tasks, such as ordering inventory, handling financials, and managing shifts. Despite the challenges faced by the store, I actually enjoyed the job. However, I made sure to exercise discretion when it came to implementing the giveaway policy, only offering free items when it made logical sense, like in the case of a messed-up pizza. We were already struggling financially due to these giveaways, so it was important to use them judiciously. Being the only affordable pizza place in town, we were constantly short-staffed. But that didn't bother me because I was always willing to pitch in and help my team with any tasks that needed attention. One busy night during dinner hours, there was some local event taking place, like a Facebook game or a tractor show, which resulted in an influx of customers. The restaurant was buzzing with activity, phones ringing non-stop, and the oven backed up with 6 or more pizzas waiting to be cooked, though we couldn't speed up the oven process. In the midst of the chaos, one of my waitresses, who was multitasking like a pro, answered a ringing phone while serving customers at the counter. The lady on the phone abruptly interrupted my waitress mid-greeting, demanding to speak with a manager. My staff member called out my name and handed me the phone. Gesturing urgently, juggling the phone on my shoulder, I continued cutting and boxing pizzas as fast as the oven allowed on such a busy night at the pizzeria. Wondering which pizza needed to be remade and where it was headed, I started the conversation with the customer. "Thank you for choosing Pizza X. How can I assist you today?" I asked, trying to maintain a professional tone amidst the chaos. "I've been calling for 3 minutes," the woman on the other end complained, causing a momentary pause. "All right, I apologize for the wait. How can I help you?" I responded, trying to steer the conversation back on track. "I've been calling for 3 minutes and I need," she began, proceeding to tell me her order, which she wanted to be delivered. I continued with the standard process. taking note of her order and attempting to move the conversation forward. Okay, let me make sure I have all the details correct. And will you be paying with cash or card? To my surprise, she replied, I'm not paying. It's free. An awkward silence followed. I couldn't believe what I had just heard. Gathering my thoughts, I responded, I'm sorry, but in order to receive these pizzas, you will need to pay. No, I'm not going to pay. I waited for 3 minutes. This should be free, and those pizzas better arrive within 45 minutes since you're so busy, she snapped before abruptly hanging up the phone. What in the world? In my book, that certainly didn't qualify as a free order. With an almost 2-hour backlog of orders already waiting to be cooked, we were working at full capacity. We had to operate on a first-come, first-served basis. Moreover, there was no way I was going to send our delivery driver out into the chaos, especially since we knew the people in our town could be quite unpredictable. I had a gut feeling that this would not be the end of the matter. The rest of the night proceeded relatively smoothly, considering the circumstances. The rush of customers eventually subsided, allowing us to focus on closing tasks and cleaning up. It was just my best friend, who also happened to be one of the cooks, and me in the store at that point. We were in the process of closing up. The doors were locked, and I was counting the cash in the register when I suddenly heard banging on the door. I glanced up and saw a woman relentlessly pounding on it. I gestured at my wrist and mouthed closed, trying my best to convey that we were done for the night and didn't want to deal with any further complication. But as luck would have it, it couldn't be that simple. I instructed my buddy to call the non-emergency line and inform them that we might have a situation while I pointed toward the back. He understood my message and stepped into the kitchen to make the call, while I reluctantly decided to confront the woman and figure out what was going on. Deep down, I already knew who she was and what she wanted. Opening that door seemed to be the only way to exchange words with her, even though I dreaded doing so. Nevertheless, as the one in charge, it was my responsibility to handle the situation and prevent her from causing any damage. With great hesitation, I unlocked the door. To my utter surprise, she barged through the door, knocking me down despite my 250-pound frame. I was left in shock, trying to comprehend what had just happened and why I found myself on the ground. As I regained my footing, she had already made her way to the counter, demanding to speak with a manager. Taking a few deep breaths and intentionally brushing myself off, I approached her calmly and said, "Hello, my name is XYZ, and I am the manager. However, I must inform you that we are closed, and I kindly request that you leave. Otherwise, I will have to call for you to be escorted off the premises." "Where are my pizzas?" she demanded, refusing to acknowledge the fact that we were closed for the past 40 minutes. "I'm sorry, what pizzas? I would love to assist you, but unfortunately, we have been closed for a while now," I explained, glancing at the clock. "My pizzas. They were supposed to be delivered 4 hours ago," she exclaimed, growing increasingly agitated. I'm not certain. Our driver confirmed that all orders were delivered. However, as I mentioned, we are closed, and there isn't anything more I can do at this time." I responded calmly. "Well, I demand to speak to the manager," she shouted, seemingly unable to grasp the reality of the situation. "I am the manager, and I insist that you leave the store," I firmly stated. By this point, I could hear my friend in the back diligently working on cleaning the dishes. I knew it wouldn't be long because, as slow and inefficient as the local police could be when it came to a business needing assistance, their response time improved significantly. Trying to figure out how to pass the time until they arrived, I glanced up at the road and noticed the unmistakable headlights of a police vehicle speeding toward us. Disappointingly, there were no flashing lights, but at least help was on the way. I continued repeating the same message: "We are closed, and we cannot assist you," as the officers got out of their car and approached. The woman continued her relentless rant about the injustices in the world and her delayed pizza, completely disregarding the presence of the officers behind her. One of the officers spoke with authority, yet not rudely, saying, "Excuse me, ma'am." Still absorbed in her tirade, she yelled, "What?" without even turning around. However, as soon as she caught sight of the badge, she fell silent. The sudden shift to complete stillness amused me, knowing that my friend in the back would find this scene quite entertaining. From this point on, the details became a bit fuzzy. After explaining the situation to the officers and showing them the footage of her forceful entry, they arrested her for disorderly conduct and assault. Although she had calmed down by that point, she couldn't let go of the "you owe me pizza" mindset. The officer even had to ask if she had paid for the pizza, and I clarified that she expected it to be free. In the end, I ended up leaving work about 15 minutes late while she spent the night in the tank. I considered it a fair outcome.